You have to like kind of pinch them and get the warmth of your fingers to actually like even get them to bust.
Here we go. We're off on another round. This one I'm very excited about because it's going to be something a little different. We are going to be taking it from seed, growing through, harvest, dry, process. We are going to do the full shebang on this one. I'm very excited for it. We're going to get into the genetics in a little bit, but today we have some chores that we got to go through. We got to get the boxes prepped. We got some amendments that we're going to put in there. The goal for right now is just to get these boxes prepped and ready to be planted within a week to 2 weeks. Let's get down to the earth boxes, check out what we got going on, and get to work. First thing we're going to be using is our Cuyaha extract. This is what I've got left of it. It's a wetting agent.
That's what I'm talking about.
I've got Rootwise Microbe Complete. This is going to be our inoculant just to get some of this stuff going, kind of kickstart it. We've got our Montana Grow. This is what we're going to be amending today. I haven't added any of these to the earth boxes, so it's about time that we add some silica. Of course, like I said, we will be starting our cover crop. The cover crop is going to be from the Soil Makers. I've really enjoyed this so far, so that will be going on there. And I'm going to be topping off the earth boxes with the rest of this Elite Co that I've got from the Soil Makers as well. Instead of scratching in the surface, we'll kind of agitate the surface just a little bit, but it's going to be more so just to kind of cover over our cover crop. Yeah. All right, let's get these earth boxes all set up in a row and we will bang this out. All right, so the plan for these we are going to be running 5 different moms from this line. Unfortunately, we only have 4 that are available right now. But once that large girl comes down, she will be just a turn and burn. We're not going to bother running any cover crop in that one. We're going to set these ones up with our cover crop and go from there. All right, so for these particular 3, they've been sitting off to the side for a while, so we are going to need to rehydrate them.
H2O.
Another reason why I brought this Q out. Soil Makers Elite Cover Crop. Great blend that I've been enjoying. It does not have any clover that's in there. So this is field peas, winter rye, barley, oats, mustard, and buckwheat. We're just going to take a handful. We're going to wet it down. Now that we've got the cover crop down, we're going to take the rest of this soil that we have here and just create a little layer, keeping all that moisture in there, and then we'll water over top. I did forget to re-amend the Montana Grow as I had planned, but that's all right. We're going to do just a little bit over top and then scratch that in. These next ones, I will remember to put that in before I put this soil over top. All right, so we've done the initial cover crop, scratching in the top, putting the cover crop down, and then putting our fresh soil, again, just a little bit of a layer to put over top of this. And now we're ready to rock and roll. Let's get on with the rest of them and get them all fixed up. We've got our earth boxes prepped. I did the Montana Grow, we did the cover crop, and we put some Soil Maker soil over the top. Inside our Chapin, we did our Microbe Complete, and we did some Cuyaha. Like I said, we only had these 4 to set up. The 5th one's got the big girl in it right now, so it's going to be a turn and burn. She's only going to get to whenever I am ready to plant these, so day 100 or so, probably a little bit longer than that. But anyway, we will just turn and burn on that one. Very excited about these. These are some testers from the homie Alebrije. This is his Tangy Rainbows F4. Like I said, we've got 5 different ones that we're going to be planting. The intentions are that we are going to plant 2 in each and then cull whichever one we find is lacking and have the best one out of the 2 to choose from to allow them to grow and see what we got. Got a little bit of information here on the cultivar itself and kind of some of the information that he was willing to share, but I think it may be better if we just let him tell us himself. All right, man. Well, we're here. I appreciate you coming to join me, dude. This is episode 0, if you will. We're getting the earth boxes ready. We're going to be planting 5 different phenos of this release that you got coming out, man. Let's just give a quick outline about the project that you've kind of worked into this. You picked a photo to bring into an auto form, and I'd like to kind of start it there to see these choices that you made. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah. So hey, thanks for having me on, and thanks for agreeing to do this video series and test out the grow and some of the different phenotypes. We'll go back, I think, about 3 years to the where the project idea began. So I'm calling it Tangy Rainbows. Because
that's an F4, correct?
This is the F4, correct. So I've been working on this project for almost 2 years now. By the time it actually gets released, it'll have been over 2 years since it began. The photo period in question is the Rainbow Guava number 5. The Rainbow Guava is from Bloom Seed Company out of Colorado. It's rainbow belts crossed with his strawberry guava, which is like one of his well-known lines. The number 5 cutting was specifically hunted and grown out and preserved by Mr. Autogrow. So big shout out to him. And he was a huge inspiration for this project in general. Years ago, he was, just growing autoflowers and was pressing rosin and sort of getting into his concentrate journey. And I was following along very closely, very interested.
He does good work.
He does amazing work. But all of a sudden he stopped growing autoflowers and he switched over, and he was pretty much purely growing photo periods. And it seemed like almost everything he was growing was from Bloom Seed Company.
That's what they're kind of well known for, right? A lot of their stuff is really well for concentrates and stuff like that.
Big wash numbers in general. Bloom Seed Company, the guy behind it, Harry Palms, is he's behind Tropicana Cookies is probably one of his most famous strains, and a lot of the papayas out there.
It seems to be a big terp profile that a lot of people are getting into, is the papayas.
Papaya again is like a big washer. So a lot of the well-known crosses are. I've worked with his papaya melons before. It's an awesome one.
Nice.
Anyway, so I started watching Mr. Autogrow, strictly growing Bloom Seed Company, and then he starts going from just pressing flower rosin to slowly upgrading his setup to do fresh frozen live rosin, freezing the fresh buds, washing them, like bubble hash style, and then freeze drying, and then pressing.
Beautiful stuff he's got coming out.
Really gorgeous stuff. I was very impressed with how quickly he dove into the scene and was just doing it very proficiently, and looked like he's producing rosin as good as anyone else in the world, and I was very impressed. I was always chatting with him behind the scenes on Instagram and things, and was just talking to him about the nature of autos versus photos, and how he just no longer wanted to do autos because they just weren't putting up the same wash yield numbers for rosin and whatnot. And I was like, that's kind of a shame. It doesn't deter me from growing more autoflowers or being into them. But at the same time, maybe we should look at it from the other way. Maybe we need some autoflowers that have more of these washer genetics in them.
Absolutely.
And so it was around that time he had grown out a pack of the Rainbow Guavas, found his number 5 cutting, which was his keeper cut. It put up big wash numbers, and it had raunchy, fruity terp, had a lot of the characteristics he was looking for. And that just became his kind of staple in his garden.
Do you remember what the numbers were that he was starting to see from them? Because I know there are a lot of people start throwing out numbers. Oh, I got this percentage back and this percentage, and what's good.
I remember hearing that it was always maybe in the 6 to 8% range from fresh frozen, which is high, really high numbers. When I think anything over 4% is considered a good washer, but then when you're doing over 5 or 6, it's exceptional. And so this was the Rainbow Guava number 5. His cut was one of the highest percentage fresh frozen wash numbers I had seen out there, and granted, I already had this, ongoing kind of relationship chatting with him. I asked him if it was a possibility if I could get a cutting of that and try, literally the goal is to just make a better autoflower washer, bring more rosin type genetics and concentrate genetics into the autoflower gene pool. So for a long time, he said no. multiple times I asked, he said no.
Well, he kept on him.
Yeah, and he wasn't trying to be a jerk or anything. I think he was just, when you find something really special like that, you have to be somewhat protective of it and who you give it to, and you don't want them out taking cuttings of it and selling it out underneath you. And anyway, I told him very specifically what my plans were for it, and we kind of kept chatting about it. And later on, there was a few other bloom seed company cuttings he was willing to give me, and I just kept on those are awesome, but you still won't give me the number 5, the rainbow guava. Eventually, he asked Harry Palms himself, got permission from him. So it made me feel really good that he did that, and that he did finally say yes. And so we have the breeder's permission. I have the permission from the guy who found the cut, and not only permission, but working it sort of as a collab in a way. I did all the breeding work, but he did the hunt for the initial cutting, and then he's going back and is also alongside you is going to be growing out the testers and washing them, and
very excited to see
what the percentages we're getting and whatnot, and the quality we're getting. So really excited. So that's a bit of the background behind it.
I think the reason why they were so understanding is it's not that you're just getting that cut and then going to cross it, or you're just taking cuts from it and sending it out. You've put quite a bit of work into this. You've brought it into that auto form, and as most people know, I mean, bringing photos into auto form is no light task. You've definitely put in quite a bit of time for it. So it's awesome to see. So I'm really excited. And now that we know a little bit about the photo, do you have anything else that you want to mention about the photo, or you want to tell us a little bit about why you chose your Tangy?
Tangy was the choice for a couple reasons. One, it's been one of my better concentrate yielders. I've gotten some of my biggest flower rosin numbers off of Tangy, and the rosin has always been really nice and good consistency, and great flavor comes through. The Tangy's profile also lended well to the rainbow guava profile in that it's very fruity. Most of the phenos are very fruity, but it also has a lot of funky notes too. So they both have that in common. The rainbow guava have brought a lot more of the raunchy, funky, there's some really rank profiles going on there, which I love. I love a good, strong terpene profile. In general, I think it has made the Tangy profile stronger. It's more terpy, and in slightly different ways too, but it's just in general, it's a more intense aroma.
You haven't grown out many of the F4s, right? These are the ones you just started some. These are the ones the testers are coming out, but you have done plenty of the F3s, and this is, I guess, a good kind of jumping point. Is what kind of terp profile, and what are you finding with the plant? How did they play together, and what are you finding?
Yeah, so it just as I mentioned, a lot of the terp profiles, I would say all of them are in this general realm of fruity and funky. That would be my general description. But then within the fruity, it can range from a tropical punch kind of profile to more Skittles candy, and specifically grape and lemon Skittles. Very grapey, citrusy kind of Skittles notes. Then on the funk side, it can go from more just a general lacto ferment kind of something that just smells it just needs some fresh air in it. Is just smelling a little funky. To actually very rank chorizo meaty rank kind of funk. Between the fruit and the funk, it kind of, there's these little gauntlets that it might land in between. To finish, I grew out more than 20 of the F3s. So I did see everything fit within that kind of range.
So in the F3s, and you grew those out, what size pots were you growing them out? What did you notice with the plant structure, yields, and what were you kind of finding?
So all of the F3s I was testing out were in 1 and 2 gallon pots. I'm rarely growing in anything bigger than a 2 gallon these days, honestly. I mostly go for just bigger numbers so I can see more population. And
Yeah.
I used to say that the smaller the pot, the smaller plant I would get. But these days, I feel like I'm getting just as big a plants in a 1 gallon as in a 3 gallon or 5 gallon.
Yeah.
It's more about aerial space and how much room you give them to, bush out. But so in general, I think that most of them fell along the lines of like kind of a classic sativa structure where they had a taller main cola, and then slightly below they've got their like satellite branches in an even level. I did have a couple phenos that were much more bushy, and it was funny, they were more bushy, but they were also the most narrow, razor sharp leaves.
No kidding.
So yeah, that was an interesting one, but that has spun off into the number 3 line, and those might turn into another project somewhere. But I'm mostly focused on the number 2. Out of 14 seed moms from the F3s, the number 2 line had the 10 of the seed moms. So there was 2 from the number 1s, 2 from the number 3s, and 10 from the number 2s. Because the number 2s is where I was really finding most of the rainbow guava traits, and that's obviously what I'm after.
Right. Those specific traits that you are looking for in the rainbow guava, what are they that you're looking for? I mean, obviously, I know I don't have a bunch of knowledge on what it is someone looks for when we're talking about a plant that's going to be a good washer or good for concentrates. I imagine that plant had it, obviously. So there's a certain trait that you were looking at. And what was that?
But most of the time I'm looking up close at the trichome heads specifically. They tend to come on a shorter stalk. And it's a bigger, more bulbous head. There's some of the most frosty looking cannabis plants. If you look at them under a microscope or a jeweler's loupe, yes, they're very frosty, but they often have very long trichome stalks and smaller heads. And that's very visible. Yeah, it's very visible from the naked eye. So the plant might look super frosty, but turns out those little resin heads are very small and not carrying a ton of resin in them. And so it might not be as strong as it might appear from the frosty look of it. But when you're looking at these ones that are going to be good for washers, it tends to be the shorter stalk with the fatter head. And one thing I like to do is just like brushing them with my hand. It can also really help if you're wearing a black glove. You can really see it, but they kind of have little weak necks where the head meets the stalk, and they'll just like literally just fall right off, and you'll just see looks like little white specks, little bits of dust on your hand. Sometimes you can even like smack the plant a little bit, and you can like watch in real time. It looks like dust flying off the flower because the necks are just so weak. So that's a good trait for a washer, is you're not putting up a lot of effort, like a gentle spin and some ice water, and those heads are going to come flying off. They're really very brittle with the cold temperatures. But another way I do it is just using my hand without a glove. I like to see how well the heads hold up. Are they greasy? Are they sticky and tacky? Are they like busting at all? When they have like a nice sheath around the outside, it almost takes, you have to like kind of pinch them and get the warmth of your fingers to actually even get them to open and bust. And that's a good sign to me. It might be a bit of a drier concentrate in the end as far as the texture goes. But at the same time, it's gonna hold up really well. You're not gonna have those trichomes like busting along the way and losing a lot of the terpenes in the water and whatnot.
When you're touching the plant, the sensation that you may feel is it feels kind of like a sandy, right? Like it would be a little bit firmer instead of just touching a plant and you get all of a sudden like this glue that's on your finger.
And the ones I'm actually like really not looking for at all, and there were a few, are the ones that are greasy. Greasy doesn't tend to do, like, it probably has really nice terpenes and things, but it's probably not going to hold up as well in the wash process.
Very true.
So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the more like substantial heads that are bigger, smaller stalks. I like to see them fall off on my hand very easily. Yeah. Now, by the time I like chopped all the moms and I had them dried, and then before I even shucked them, I just put them in plastic baggies with some desiccant packs. There were a few that they weren't even, at the top of my list from the grow and looking at the live plants. But by the time they were dried, seeing the like the resin heads in the bottom of the bag. I was like, oh, okay, wow, this one's like this is very impressive, like with the amount of like hash that just seems to be falling off just here in the bag, and I haven't even messed with it or done anything.
Yeah, I think that's why it's really awesome to test these plants like you're doing, right? And getting them into other growers' hands. There's other people, like you said, that are testing it, and you're going to see what it does in other people's environments and how it performs, and see what works best, right?
That's just it. Yeah, it might do great in my setup and environment, but throw it in 5 different other people's hands and completely different. Well, completely, we just do things differently. I mean, we're both organic soil growers, but you've got a more open room, and you do the earth boxes and no-till method, and love it. And so I think yours is going to go along very well with I like to think when something has been bred in organic soil, it likes to grow in organic soil, and it, versus cocoa. If someone's breeding with cocoa, maybe it's more inclined to do well in a cocoa setup or a hydro setup.
I agree with that statement for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So there were 14 total seed moms. We're really focused on the number 2 line out of the 3 different lines. So 10 of the seed moms were out of the number 2s, and we're really looking closely at 5 of them. So this whole process and the test grows, we're going to be between 5 or 6 different testers out there. We're kind of like circling around 5 different phenotypes from the F3 seed moms. Okay. So we're kind of looking for which few are going to be the best. I'd like to say only the best one, but typically in my packs I include a couple freebies. So I think by the time this one is around, we'll probably include the top 3 phenotypes will make up the pack.
Do you have the date set up just yet, exactly when it's going to be dropped?
Yeah, the plan is to do the drop on June 20th, which is the first day of summer. So I like to think, if you by the time you actually receive the pack, it's still some late June weather. I think you still got time to plant them outdoors if you want. If you need some extra space out there.
Have you planted them outdoors yet? Have you tried anything like that?
I haven't. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how that would go. So I like to include a lot of seeds in the packs for everybody. So you're not just getting like a 3-pack and feel like, oh, if you try something with one, you're wasting it. I usually make sure there's at least 15 plus seeds in a pack. So if you want to try 1 or 2 outside, don't feel like it's a big risk of losing your valuable seeds or anything.
Sure. No, absolutely. And that kind of brings me, I know for us up here in the Northeast and other parts of, where people are growing, humidity is definitely a thing that will take our plants and all our hard work and make it for naught. What do you find with the environment with these? Can they take a good beating? Do you find that they like certain things and don't like certain things?
Oh yeah, no, they're like they're very stress resistant. Honestly, I would say I put them through hell. It was fortunate I started the F3 testers, some at the end of the summer into the beginning of the fall last year. So they got swings from like through their life range upwards of 90 and below 50 degrees. So they went through some pretty rough temperature swings, some pretty intense humidity swings. I didn't really have any issues, honestly. Yeah, I would say just they like a simple grow, good quality organic soil, water only, top dressing.
Hungry and anything?
No, I think I pretty much just top dressed them all like once. Entering flower, and I think that was it. I pretty much just let them cruise. They were really easygoing, honestly. Cool. I think the timing works well. Also, if people are getting them at the end of in the summer, and then they might grow them out in the fall, up in your neck of the woods, it might be good timing by the time they're ready for post processing. That it might be cold enough to be out doing some washes in the garage, or just have some cold temperatures for making hash.
Yeah, I'm hoping that by the end of this video, I will have managed to figure out something. I know it's going to be getting a little bit warmer up here, but I would definitely like to get her in the wash, and we'll try different things. We're going to press it. We're going to do, we're going to put her through the paces to see, we're going to try it all out just to kind of, these are all the five testers that you have the most potential for. You gave to us, and we're going to try to showcase them the best for you. and hopefully we do you proud. And I appreciate you giving us the chance, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you guys for taking it on, and I'm more excited than you to watch this go down. So
The
yeah, I
nerves are
can't
definitely
wait.
kicking in, the nerves are kicking in, but we're gonna do it good. Everything's gonna go smooth, and I'm very excited for this video series, and um, definitely gonna be bending your ear all along the route. The whole way. This will be us kind of working together on it. So thank you again, and
Well,
thanks for joining us.
I'm stoked. Thank you. I know you're gonna crush it.